Hello, viewers. Tonight, or rather today, is about at least 3 a.m. I'm going to talk about the stone beings of Elden Ring. Now, it has been quite a while since I've made an Elden Ring podcast. For those of you who are new subscribers or peradventure you do not know what this is, I do occasionally create videos about certain subjects of a symbolical and ideological nature regarding different things in Elden Ring. And that may eventually extend to Dark Souls, to Demon Souls, and the other FromSoft titles. However, Elden Ring really does deserve some special attention because it is a game that, truth be told, has very few NPCs relative to its size. Peradventure, the scale of the game and the sort of disparity between NPCs and the very big, huge scale of the game is just so massive and significant that really environment plays such a role in understanding the narrative, understanding what the story really is, what the game really is. That, truth be told, much of what you will learn will not simply be, much of what you will have to learn to understand this game is not going to be something that you are going to learn by one or two simple lore videos. So, because of this, I have taken it upon myself to create a forum in which I basically take note of everything that is significant that I see, and basically I use written works, dictionaries of symbolism, religious sources even, different books that I can use and sort of cross-reference and examine certain things with different ideas in mind. To put it frankly, this is not like my Elden Ring podcast in which I basically speculate and talk about the story. This is more of me examining very particular things and basically presenting you with information that may or may not help you understand certain concepts in the game better. Yes, so I do have a certain amount of subscribers who are interested in Elden Ring and video games in general. I have a wide range of subscribers. Some people, they did not come for the video games and, they watch other content. But basically, when I started this channel, I started talking about Demon Souls. This was originally a channel where I basically was just going to investigate media. Eventually, it extended to all types of different subjects. But excuse me, this content is very important because I do have a viewer base that subscribe for this particular type of content. If you do want to find out which forum this is, I will have a link in the comment forum that you can go to and you can join, or you can just read the different topics that I've posted. And you can even you can give your own input if you like, and even basically post your own information, theories, and how you play the game or what have you. The reason I use a separate forum is because posting in a separate forum other than Reddit, because most people use Reddit to post about Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Demon Souls. The truth is, I have some problems with Reddit. For one thing, oftentimes it is very difficult to post in Reddit. Most of the time, there are so many different rules about what you can post. And if you make your post too long, sometimes the bots will delete your posts. Or if you post certain links, what happeneth is that they will consider your post spam. All types of different rules that make it very difficult to post on Reddit are the reason, they're the reasons why I do not post on Reddit. Here, I can post freely. If anyone wants to join the conversation, they certainly can. I do like that. I could post on Medium, but Medium is a website that, in my humble opinion, I just feel as though Medium is a pretty boring blogging website, and I do not particularly like the blogging websites, because there are so many rules about basically who can read what. For example, if you join Medium, they want you to pay a certain amount of money, or it is very difficult sometimes for people to even find your posts, your topics. So, interestingly enough, I just decided to have an open forum, and even though I've had only about one person join, and one person who has basically posted in this forum, I would have to say that I have been getting more views than I often get when I post topics or blogs on Medium. When I post blogs on Medium, I hardly get anyone reading. So, people read my different topics on this forum, but most of the time, I've only had one person join and one person post, their own ideas. However, that being said, people do view the topic. So, when I post on Medium and blogging sites, I hardly get anyone to view it. So, I think the open forum is the way I like to do it. To be entirely honest, I think that this is good because you, the viewers, can join, and do not be discouraged about posting in the YouTube comment forum, because I have optimized the YouTube forums on my videos to be very accessible. But some people would rather would rather post more substantive information on a type of official forum, a more, traditional forum, which I agree with, because YouTube as a place to post your ideas and thoughts it is very difficult to do it in the YouTube comment forums, in that there are not as many options as you would have if you posted on, a basic forum like this. So, anyone is welcome to join. Anyhow, let me get started. We're going to talk about stone beings. So basically, Marika, the demigod children, and basically all of the gods have stone skin. Even Ranni has stone skin. Now, even though she is an adult now, the body she left behind when she had allowed the Black Knives to kill her is made of stone. Every god, whether it be Marika, we saw, what was his name? Godwin. We saw Godwin in the pre-release trailer. We saw that he had stone skin. They all have stone skin. All of the so-called gods have stone skin. The demigods have stone skin. All of them do. So, and that is true for Ranni as well. And I just decided, I said, I might as well use this image to sort of represent what I'm talking about, because this is a very good example. When we go to the Divine Tower, where we find Ranni's body, we get to see that it is stone. We can see the red hair, the sort of red outline that, seems as though that could be the reddish residue of the hair that was burnt off of her head. But her whole body is made of stone. Now, we ourselves, we have to ask ourselves, why are the gods made of stone? It is very interesting. Now, this was the body Ranni left behind. She now is in the doll that is made in the likeness of her mentor. But, the gods and the demigods are not the only ones. Or I might as well just say the gods, basically. Because I think, for the most part, I'm talking about in regard to humanoids, Marika and her children. So basically the gods, they have stone skin. But what I think many people, have peradventure not thought about or considered is that, this is a similarity that the gods share with the Alabaster and the Onyx Lords. They have stone skin. They are an ancient race that rose to life after a meteor struck the earth. So you can see just how you can see that characteristic. They do not look exactly alike, but they are both made of stone, obviously. And we have here great sword forged from a blue-white meteorite ore. The blade conceals gravity manipulating magic, a weapon unique to the Alabaster Lords. They have skin of stone. They were said to have risen to life after the meteor struck. Now, they do not say that they came from the meteor, but they say that they rose to life after the meteor struck. I have to be very careful with the language there, because it is written in a certain way. So we might want to review the symbolic significance of stone based on a few books that we have. So we have here the Dictionary of Symbols. The hardness of stone, basically the hardness and durability of stone, have always impressed men, suggesting to them the antithesis to biological things subject to the laws of change, decay, and death, as well as the antithesis to dust, sand, and stone splinters as aspects of disintegration. The stone, when whole, symbolized unity and strength. When shattered, it symbolized dismemberment and psychic disintegration, infirmity, death, and annihilation. So that is very interesting. In other words, the stone is something inorganic in contrast to the organic. And it is sturdy. So stone, with its characteristic durability, permanence. Stone is, for many cultures, a symbol of divine power. Other important features are that sparks can be made by striking some stones, and that others have fallen from the sky or have unusual forms. In other words, meteorites. So, we have here from the Dictionary of Symbols, stones fallen from heaven serve to explain the origin of life. These were old ideas. These were ideas of there being heavenly substances raining down upon the earth stones and, different stars that in some way sort of made life possible, or sort of, in some sense, interacted with the earth in such a way that life sort of rose from the earth, almost like it's, heaven is a type of a father, so to speak, and the earth is a type of mother. I mean, it is a weird idea for us here in the modern age, but this was the symbolism in many religions that was really sort of understood. So the Alabaster and Onyx Lords, they came to life after the meteor fell to the earth. The idea of men and women being formed of stones can be found in the story of 𝐁𝐞𝐢𝐧𝐞 and his wife Pyra. Excuse me. This is from the Dictionary of Phrase and Fable. 𝐁𝐞𝐢𝐧𝐞, after the great flood, after the great deluge. Oh my goodness, I do not know why I'm messing up on words today. Maybe I'm sleepy. Who knows? I do not. Well, sometimes I do videos at this time, but usually it is somewhat earlier. But anyhow, let me continue. After the deluge, which is a flood, was ordered to cast, 𝐁𝐞𝐢𝐧𝐞 was ordered to cast behind him the bones of his mother, that is to say, the stones of Mother Earth. Those thrown by 𝐁𝐞𝐢𝐧𝐞 became men, and those thrown by his wife Pyra became women. For the interchange between people and a stone, see Pindar, that's something else. But basically, this is an old idea of life coming from stones. So, if you look at these meteoritic stones, these meteoritic stones, you will see them all throughout the lands between. What is more, these stones seem to be held in sort of esteem. In other words, these stones are treated as though they are sacred in the lands between. You will see them in caves, and you will see them in divine towers. You will see them in so many different places in the lands between. So that meteoritic rock is present in the divine towers. At the bottom of mining caves, there is an actual history of meteoritic rock being worshipped and revered. So, meteorites in particular came in for worship. The most celebrated are the Kaaba meteorite in Mecca and the black stone of Pasinus, an aniconic image of the Phrygian Great Mother taken to Rome during the last of the Punic Wars. Alright, but anyhow, this is some of the meteorite. Now you see this in the Divine Tower. Every Divine Tower that you go to will have this type of meteorite in it. Every time you see one of these little openings, you see a meteorite inside of it. Well, here in Mecca, a similar thing has been done. You can see that the black stone, the meteoritic rock, has been sort of placed in a type of metal to contain it, or sort of make it fixed into the structure, much like this meteoritic rock. So the rock itself seems divine, but if you look at the rock close enough, you will realize that you are basically seeing something gold in it. What you see inside of the meteorite is something gold. Every time you look at them, you can find it. So what is the significance of finding gold in that meteorite? Well, gold is considered to be the solar metal. In Hindu doctrine, gold is the mineral light. According to Guinan, I do not know if I am saying that name right. The Latin word for gold, aurum, is the same as the Hebrew for light. Or, Jung quotes the delightful expression offered by the alchemist Michael Mailer in De Circolo Physico Quadrato to the effect that the sun, by virtue of millions of journeys round the earth, or conversely, has spun threads of gold all around it. Alright. Gold is the image of solar light and hence of the divine intelligence. If the heart is the image of the sun in man, in the earth, it is gold. And of course, we have talked about, or rather I have discussed, or rather talked about this before in some of my previous podcasts, that indeed, in ancient literature, in ancient writings, gold was basically something that was related to the heart, and that silver was related to the brain. This was the symbolism that used to be used. So gold is the first of metals. Gold, like fire blazing in the night, shines preeminent amid lordly wealth, says Pindar. Interesting that they refer to Pindar so much. I think that it would be wise to read some of his writings. Very interesting. Excuse me. Its beauty and purity gave it divine status in biblical as well as classical literature. Untarnishable and thus immortal, it belongs to the gods. Gold is the child of Zeus. Hera, Artemis, and Eos have golden thrones. Hera a golden chariot, Zeus and Apollo golden whips, Iris golden wings, Zeus golden scales, Artemis and Ares golden reins, Calypso and Circe golden zones or girdles, and Aphrodite herself is golden, all in Homer. The gods sit in council on the golden floor, drinking out of golden cups. Aphrodite leaves her father's golden house, from Sappho, the eighth ode, and there are a lot of works referenced here. I didn't really vocalize those, but doubtless you can read that over if you need to get the reference works that are mentioned here in this quote. Ye golden gods is an interjection in Aristophanes. The tabernacle of the Israelites is to have a mercy seat of pure gold, and 2 cherubims of gold, while the New Jerusalem is pure gold, and the city of the street was pure gold. Alright. So, from this and what we know, we can infer basically from all the symbolical explanations in literature, gold is tantamount to life and intelligence. In a sense, if there's intelligence, there's life. In a symbolic sense. So it is as though, basically, if that is in the meteors, and a meteor can be considered a star. That is what many people sort of fail to understand in Elden Ring. They are using the old definition for stars. And in the old definition for stars, meteors can be considered stars. You know, the moon can be considered a star. Any sort of large body in the sky can be considered a star. That is very interesting, but That is indeed the case. So, what this indicates that life came from heaven, basically. Now, this sword has, for the most part, the same description as the other sword, but take a look at the fact that it is gold. Great sword forged from golden-hued meteoritic ore. The blade conceals gravity-manipulating magic. But the interesting thing here is that this Onyx Lord, the Onyx Lord is carrying a golden great sword this time, which is very interesting. So in that meteor that the Onyx Lord came from, there was gold, basically. This is the idea. And as we can see the crater here of the sort of meteoritic rock. It has gold in it, basically. So that is very interesting. It is almost as though the life that sort of an how should it be said, animates, the creatures in the lands between really is of gold. Alright? So, if we want to talk about the earth in a very traditional way, in a way that basically is sort of related to how people used to think about the earth, there was an idea, a very strong idea. It is an antiquated idea now. Some people still hold it. But anyhow, the idea was that the earth is feminine and passive, that the sky is masculine, and that basically the earth is receiving sort of influences from the sky, that life is coming from the sky, sort of seeding the earth, impregnating the earth with life. So this cometh in the form of things such as rain and sunlight and sort of meteor, star showers and all types of things. So there was an idea that life came from heaven, that the earth itself was just passive and still. So in a sense, yes, we have to sort of try to think like a person would think who lived in a very antiquated society, an antiquated civilization in which they have these ideas of the earth, being sort of a mother in the sky, in a sense playing the role of basically these ideas are sort of spiritual ideas that are reified into physical things. So the earth symbolized something, the sky symbolized something. There were certain ideas about the sky, and for them, a lot of these people, it's very important to think of the earth as passive. So you cannot be any more passive than having a still earth. And this was an idea that was held, that the earth is still. Now today, most of us do not think that the earth is still, except some of us very ardent fundamentalists who believe meaning to accept ideas that would, that are completely in accordance with our Weltanschauung, our religion, our worldview, our ideology. There are some people who have ideologies in which, the ideas that they hold, it is very important that they have a consistent belief in something even such as this, such as a still earth. Even, for example, for many Christians may not like to admit this. I myself am a Christian, which is why I say it. Our Bible says, basically the same thing, that, it talks about the earth being still. Now, one could laugh at that, but the same thing is true in Tibetan Buddhism. You can find it in that. You can find it in old Greek religion. You can find it in different types of religions and ideologies that even today are still being held, but the aspect of a passive, still earth being a feminine type of thing is not really upheld by many people. Many people try to sort of assimilate their modern knowledge, their modern scientific ideas to older ideologies that really do take into account a still passive Earth. The Earth cannot be passive if it is always moving and it has an element of activity. The idea is that the Earth is still and passive. The sky is always moving. There's all types of things in the sky. Meteors, stars, all right? So when you have the Earth doing the same thing, that means that the Earth is masculine and has a type of activity. The idea was that the Earth is like a passive mother, sort of a passive feminine thing, sort of awaiting the intervention of heaven. So, there really is a philosophical idea behind the still Earth. Now, whatever your ideas may be about it, the reason I'm discussing it here is so that you can better understand these very old ideas that are being used in this video game. Now, some of you may think, well, we do not need to learn about antiquated, old ways of thinking, but I'm telling you, for a lot of these philosophical ideas, for a lot of these religious ideas that we encounter in Elden Ring, for a lot of these spiritual ideas, if you really want to understand them, you are going to have to sort of go back and sort of investigate and gain some interpretations, about how people used to think and about all types of things in nature. Old natural philosophy, very old natural philosophy that is not considered to be relevant today, but at the same time, these ideas were found in most religions in the past. Many of the new science that we have today conflicts with a lot of the old ideas, that were held, having to do with, whether we are talking about the sort of progression of astrology, religious ideas, all types of things, all types of symbolism and ways of thinking, basically. So the ancient dragons, we know they were made of stone. Now, we compare these dragons, or we will compare these dragons to the softer dragons. Basically, the idea is that, and it is important to note that the dragons themselves, just like the gods, are made of stone. In a sense, you could say that the stone dragons are themselves basically on the scale of gods. To be entirely honest, they are made of stone. Marika is made of stone. Godwin is made of stone. Ranni's old body was made of stone. Radagon is made of stone. They are all made of stone, which is very interesting. This stone represents something that is basically, it is not subject to, to wearing away, to decaying. It is strong and it's sturdy. This is the idea behind stone. This sort of strong thing that does not break. And the dragon is like this mountain of stone. And what is more, the stone dragons, all right, they have gold in their wings. So we can easily relate these stone dragons to the meteor that struck the lands between, that struck the earth, and we can easily relate them to that. Now we know that, before Marika, all right, we had the sort of Lord of Beasts, or the Lord, basically another sort of Lord who, was sort of the god of that age, and that was the dragon that we get to fight in Farum Azula. But, for the most part, this is extremely interesting. It is interesting to consider and really understand how powerful the stone dragons are. because, looking at them and understanding that these are stone beings, we can relate these to the meteor. We can relate, for example, we can relate the Onyx Lord and the Alabaster Lords to the meteor. We can relate the gods to the meteor. Ranni, Marika, Radagon, all of these gods we can relate to the meteor. Now, it seems like over time, the dragons sort of start to regress, or they start to become, something less powerful than what they were. But they also, as they happen to regress, or rather, not necessarily regress, but basically what may be called a de-evolution of the dragons, or even a weakening of the dragons. Not necessarily, because they started off as this, and they have become this. So the dragons have lost their power, the newer types of dragons, but they have soft flesh, and that is the difference. These dragons are not made completely of stone, and what is more, the dragons seem to have fur or feathers on themselves, which is somewhat like more of the chimera type enemies that we get to fight. What did they call them? Misbegotten. They have interesting feathers and interesting wings, and fur and other things too. But basically the idea that is being presented here, it would seem, is that these dragons are sort of permanent, strong, sturdy. They're extremely, they sort of have that quality of permanence because they are made of stone. And the new dragons are not made of stone. And so, these dragons are just not as powerful, not as strong, basically. So basically I want to end this particular forum post with this. We're going to reflect on this quote. We're going to really think about it. And I really want you to, because this explains a good deal of what Elden Ring is about. This type of symbolism between the earth and heaven. The earth was looked upon as a mold of nature, as the recipient of seeds, the nurse of what was produced in its bosom. The sky was the fecundating and fertilizing power. An analogy was suggested in the union of the male and female. These comparisons are found in ancient writers. The sky, Plutarch says, appeared to men to perform the functions of a father, as the earth those of a mother. The sky was the father, for it cast seed into the bosom of the earth, which in receiving them became fruitful and brought forth, and was the mother. So that is from ancient symbol worship, influence of the phallic idea in religions of antiquity. Okay, by Mr. Westthorpe, or whatever his name is. But that is a very easy book to find. Anyhow, if you did not know what fecundate means, it means to make fertile. So what is happening is that basically, through repeated star rains and sunlight, rain, all of these things come from heaven. You have all types of stars, bodies of different substances just crashing down upon the earth and somehow imbuing the earth with life. And lightning is also something that comes from heaven. And so lightning, it comes from the sky. This is something that I am going to talk about in more detail. But basically, the idea that we have reviewed, or rather I suppose we have reviewed it. Sometimes I sort of wonder if I should say we or I, but basically you are seeing the same thing that I am seeing. So basically we have reviewed, in one of the earlier videos. If you have not watched the earlier videos, please do. It is full of all different types of information. Or if you just want to read the forum posts and sort of gain an understanding just by reading, you can. But anyhow, you know, a lot of what we have reviewed has been about this idea of different substances crashing down upon the earth and imbuing the earth, imbuing the land, imbuing the trees, imbuing the plants with this type of starlight, this type of, you know, energy from heaven. You know, whether you want to call it spiritual, supernatural, what have you. You know, this energy is, you know, a real thing in Elden Ring, and it basically is what gives everything life. It is sort of gold, a golden energy, so to speak. Gold represents life, gold represents intelligence. The intelligence comes from, you know, the sky, you know, to be honest. So that is a very old idea of life coming from heaven. This is what I think a good deal of Elden Ring is about. That is one of the main ideas that's being expressed. Now, you would not understand the full significance of this unless you are an individual who takes the time to read and study very old ideas about all types of symbolism, just basically what old, you know, religions, you know, old religious ideas basically. If you do not have much of an understanding of these things, you would not really understand what was being basically showed to us in Elden Ring. Everything seems to have come from the stars, and when we are talking about stars, we're not just talking about starlight. We're talking about the stones from heaven. You know, we are talking about everything from heaven sort of coming down to the passive feminine earth. So this is indeed true, and here we have the gods being stone people. You know, it is almost as though they share the characteristics of the meteor that struck the earth. Or in some cases, some people are even becoming stone, but that is a whole nother matter to talk about. But yes, this has been quite interesting. There are a number of topics that I have. You know, should you be interested in learning more about all types of subjects on this forum, I have a range of different things that you can learn about. And there are a number of, you know, videos that go with these topics. They talk about, or rather I talk about in these videos, basically very obscure things. Not things that are extremely obvious, things that I do believe are overlooked by many other, you know, FromSoft YouTubers. So this was a joy to do. I will be doing more. God be with you.